Welcome, everybody. It's Christine Parakis, and we are back here on the Career Invincibility Show. And I am so excited. I've been waiting for months to bring my next guest on to this show because we have a blast when we chat, and we are two women of like minds. And Christina Sjahli is an on-demand CFO who she's obsessed with the magic of numbers and the stories that are told through them to help entrepreneurs build a better business. She's not afraid to get into the numbers with you and help you understand how to untangle the financial story of your business to create a business that fuels the life you want without even having to hire a full-time CFO. So Christina also hosts her own podcast, her CEO Journey. It's a business finance podcast for women entrepreneurs where she gets down to the brass tacks of the good, the bad, and the truth about money that we as entrepreneurs have all made, lost, and recovered. And she inspires women every day to achieve financial equality. So, Christina, welcome to the Career Invincibility Show. I'm so happy to have you here.
Christine, it has been a while since we talked, but I still remember when we chatted, it was December 2019. The situation was completely different then.
Isn't it crazy? It's like a before and after. I thought, after my two hurricanes, I was never going to experience life so dramatically different. And now everybody else is caught up to me, right?
That's a good way to put it. So
Right?
yes, it is completely different. It's crazy.
Well, we have literally seen the roof blow off of our economy, of our work lives, of our businesses. So tell us, how are you serving these days? What are you seeing? How are you helping people get through?
Well, this is a very tough situation, and I'm sure when you and I talked back in December for the podcast, we talked a little bit about this. And I think every business owner have a different situation. So for me, as the crisis right now with the pandemic, a lot of focus is very short term, right? A lot of people are basically thinking about the situation back in March in a panic mode. And I think that's normal. I'm sure you experienced that when you were in the hurricane, right? With your experience, the first reaction is panic.
Yep,
But then,
first thing.
yes, exactly. So that is the first thing. But I think for me is to basically help women entrepreneurs to kind of like soften the panic and then really look at the big picture and then see what they can do now and then what they need to do over the next 18 months. Even though we all know it's uncertain and it's completely scary right now. I get that. I feel that I feel that exactly the same too. I have fear. We all have fear. But I think you can relate to this, Christine. Like when you were in the rubble of all the storm and then you couldn't breathe and then you have to survive. I still remember you told me you basically, took out a book and then you start writing. You
Yep.
just bring yourself back and then just start thinking, what can I do next? And then I think that's a very similar step that I'm guiding, my clients or people that comes to me.
Right. And that's why we really share so many values together and how we approach life, because we're not beaten by the obstacles in their way. Not that we've never encountered them. Right. And
Yes.
that's really what I love to talk about is the personal journey of successful people like yourself who, you're not handed a silver spoon. You have obstacles to overcome. And it's part of what makes you who you are. And most people, they'll look at someone successful and they'll say, "Oh, well, of course you had this, you had that, you're this and that, and I've got a good resume on paper." But we don't get here on a straight line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell
Definitely.
us a bit about your journey and how you got to be where you are today to be able to guide and inspire women as you do.
I love this. I love this question, Christine. And then that's why, like I love your journey. So now you brought me in to share my journey. And then you are
Yes.
absolutely right. I always think that, there is nothing special about my journey. But when you and I talk even about this, for me to be on your show, I I said to you, I'm like, I have nothing special to share. Like my journey is just normal. But we all have our peak and valley, right? And then we have to overcome to get where we are today. And then I had to overcome mine. And then I think my journey started at a very early age. I live in Canada now, but I wasn't born and raised in Canada. I immigrated to Canada like 18 years ago. But what made me wanted to immigrate to Canada and then basically restarted my life was because I I had a bad, well, I shouldn't say bad experience, but I had to overcome challenges when I was growing up. And then I think it shaped who I am today. Um, so I was lucky because my parents always supported me as, growing up as a girl. And you have to understand, I came and I was born and raised in a country where woman voice back then, in even nowadays, were not being heard. Authoritative figure back then, it's always man. And then even when you are dealing with the women, um, you they always do not allow you to voice what is your opinion. And I honestly don't know where I get this rebellious voice or this rebellious personality. But growing up, I never believed that I can just like stand back and I never voice what I believe in. I was bullied growing up. I was sexually abused growing up by boys at school. But that experience, even though it was painful, it I stood up and I stood up and then basically said, I cannot be treated this way. This is not right. Even though the adult around me other than my parents, they didn't support me. They think as a female we have to just stay quiet down and not saying anything. So when you're asking about my journey to get where I am today, I think that experience as a child at 11 years old and 16 years old really shaped me. I told myself I will never allow anybody, nobody, to basically tell me that I cannot do anything and then I cannot voice what I believe in. And I think that's really shaped me and get where I am today.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Christina. It is so moving and so powerful to hear someone who can say, in the face of ultimate victimhood, abuse on a child, unimaginable horror, that you can use that experience to make you better, stronger, more determined, more empowered because of that. That is an exceptional thing. And yet it's possible for all of us to do in the same way that I've done it over and over again. And it feels to me as though there's a mindset moment, right? A decision is made. You maybe not were conscious of it at the time, but there was a part of you can say it now and talk about it very clearly, that you just said, no, no more.
Yeah.
And that's how you got to be here. And then for you, it's like the air you breathe, the water you swim in, right? It's not
Yeah.
anything special. And yet it's truly inspiring, because not everybody can recognize that moment for themselves. And so it needs to be shared. And so I'm really honored that you would share this with us so that we can be inspired and recognize that we all have a moment where we can choose to say no more.
Yes, and then I think, a lot of women entrepreneurs out there, we have similar struggles, like it's not exactly the same, but we struggle about feeling insecure. We struggle to voice our concern and then really stand up to what we truly believe in, right?
Yes.
And I think you you have to be persistent. Like it wasn't easy. If I had, looking back now, it's hard. It's hard to accept that because, it created feeling of insecurity and then lack of confidence. And you always gonna question because of that experience. You always question, am I doing the right thing? Am I allowed to voice my concern? Am I allowed to voice what I truly believe in? And that experience is, any of your experience in life that bring where you are today, it's really shape you, and then you cannot discount that. Like even though I want to tell you the truth, right? Like I'm like, like it's really nothing, but it shape you. It makes
Yes.
you who you are, really. And then I'm sure that you can agree to that. I don't think anybody else can, after what you experienced, Christine, and then what you wrote in your books, which is, by the way, congratulations
Thank you so much. Yes.
on the Resilient Leader. It's such a great book. So anyway, like that's, yeah, we all have our story. Let's just put it that way. And then that story can make you stronger in life.
Yes, and I think it's important. And one of the lessons that I learned and I talk about in the book is, we have to be upfront with these things. We have to recognize our vulnerabilities and what we've done to get where we are, because otherwise people just think that it's only can happen to you. It can't happen to me, right? I don't know if I won't get that kind of break that you had. You're just naturally brilliant and educated and smart and together and confident and all the things that you are, and that it can't be someone else. But that's not what you're dedicated to doing. You're dedicated to helping others have what you have. And
Yep.
so, talk a bit about that, and what are you doing for people these days, because if we're all in a category 5 situation, right, no matter what. So how are you helping your clients weather these current storms?
Well, I think right now with all the government funding in the US, and then I live in Canada, we have a lot of different government funding right now. And then also a lot of financial institution are uh, basically offering, payment deferral or, increase in line of credit, many things, right? To help businesses, especially small businesses, to thrive. And we all know that this crisis is not going to be over soon, right? And then because of that, I think, what I've been doing to with my client, first of all, help them to understand where they really stand financially. We reviewed it 3 months ago when the lockdown happened and everything like shut down, the world shut down literally. And, you know, where did they stand at that moment? And after that, they have to think about the different scenario for their business. Again, the economic recovery, I don't know what you have heard over in the